Going live. Okay, you're live. Hold on, producer. Can you get?
I'm trying.
All right, so we're good, Sherry, or what?
I don't know. Give it a test. I would assume so.
All right, this is our first. Jesus. There you go. All right. So this is our first podcast, episode 1 for the old breed. This is something that I've decided to do because I've seen a lot of other podcasts, and at 47 years old, I think I could do something maybe just a little bit better. So our very first episode on for the old breed. And this is like a men's podcast. I mean, it's for everybody, but we're focusing on men's issues. So, like I said, our first podcast is going to be the benefits of Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and our first guest is going to be Elijah Youngblood Pizarro. He's a multiple-time IBJJF champion. He's a purple belt. He's actually getting ready to get his brown belt, and he's a high level guy. And Elijah, welcome to the show. Tell us how you started doing Brazilian Jiu Jitsu.
I started doing Brazilian Jiu Jitsu because I was introduced to the Gracies. He introduced me into the Gracies, and it just got me interested because I remember I used to like to watch like I would watch like a little bit of WWE, but I remember my parents would be like no, like you can't watch that. So he started pushing the Gracies on me, and then I eventually picked it back up again because I took time off. But yeah, I initially started because I wanted to do MMA. That was initially the goal. So yeah.
Okay, so so what age do you think you started out? When do you think it became interesting to you? Like something that you want to try out?
Man, I think I was shown like the first time was like maybe like 8 or 9. I'm not sure, but I think I was like really interested at like 16 to 18. I was like, man, I'm hooked. But because we used to like whatever with all my friends, we used to always like wrestle, and yeah, it's just what we did. So
yeah, but what did you like about it? What did you like about jiu-jitsu that you're like, man, this is something that I want to get into?
Man, I don't know. I just thought it was cool, like especially after doing it and like feeling it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just getting whooped all the time definitely made me want to get better because I definitely got beat a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, once you start to like feel the technique and you start to get those submissions, like yeah, you just want to learn more.
So are you saying that you were getting like beat up by like your classmates or what? Or your friends?
Yeah.
Or
No. Usually I was beating up all my friends because I had like I was just ahead of them. Just maybe just because actually I trained early. I took time off,
mm-hmm.
and then we just got back into it. What was the question?
Well, no, that whole thing about like, if you were, doing it with your friends, if you were getting beat up by your friends,
yeah.
But my whole thing, we're going to go back to what did you like? What did you think was effective about it? Because there's many martial arts, Aikido, Kung Fu, Thai boxing. What was Brazilian Jiu Jitsu specifically that you were like, man, this is my style? What was it?
I remember like we did karate and I tried that out. It didn't really interest me for very long, like breaking boards and those little kicks. But
Mm-hmm.
once I got to like experience jiu-jitsu, like someone just like using their weight, they're using leverage, just to like control someone and get in a dominant position to eventually get a submission or just to beat them.
Okay, so when would you say you started taking it seriously? Like you had like an actual routine when you were training. When did that start?
I mean, I remember I was hooked at like 16 to 18. I was hooked, but I didn't take care of my body at all, and I think that took a toll on me for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm much better about stretching. I think diet's important, staying hydrated. But yeah, 16 to 18, I was hooked. I just didn't know like what I was doing as far as like maintenance on the body.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because you know I'm a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu guy too. Obviously, not at the level that Elijah is at, and so people have an understanding. Elijah happens to be my son. Okay, so I have two kids, and Elijah's the younger one, and he's definitely taken jujitsu to I mean, just a whole new level. I mean, I was doing jujitsu in the '90s, and I remember having to go to the Atlanta Judo Academy just to be able to get a little roll time. Um, but Elijah's definitely taken it to a new level. And you often hear in the jiu-jitsu community about the blue belt. What do they call it? The blue belt blues.
Yeah, the blue belt blues, basically they get promoted and they don't come back after blue belt.
Exactly. So today's show is the benefits of jiu-jitsu. So I wanted you guys to hear this from like pretty much an expert. I mean, Elijah's been doing this for a long time. How old are you now, Elijah?
24.
He's 24, so imagine he's been doing it like since he was 16, and then you know Elijah goes. I mean, he's doing it all the time. I mean, all the time. He goes 4, 5, 6 days a week. So I wanted people that are new to the game of jiu-jitsu to get it, directly from somebody that knows, somebody that does it all the time. It's not just a hobby; it's a lifestyle. But why do you think, Elijah, that so many people get the blue belt blues?
Um, Man, maybe because they feel like they've accomplished like enough, like they know enough to where that they feel comfortable, or maybe they're like it's just like too hard, or it's gonna take too long, like for them to look ahead.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really sure.
Now, do you think your jiu-jitsu has changed from the time that you were a blue belt to now?
Oh, I mean, definitely. I mean, I used to just be like really explosive, and I guess probably, yeah, I always wanted to go hard, but I wasn't very technical. I just wanted to go hard, and I just wanted to win.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really understand the points. I just remember I'd always go for submission. Um, like even in training, in tournaments, I wouldn't care about sweeps or points. I didn't really uh take those into account until like later.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's definitely changed. I think my professor has changed my game for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I really think I had bad fundamentals
Mm-hmm.
because I started like an MMA gym, and
Yeah.
I thought I knew like everything to know, but once I actually got and met Kuhn at Team Octopus, I mean they really helped like put my game together. So
So tell us about your lineage. Where does it come from? Where did this all start?
so when I came to Team Octopus, Diego Saraiva was the black belt. He was the head coach. And he's from Nova União under the same coach as Jose Aldo, but
Okay.
eventually Diego left,
Mm-hmm.
and I was introduced to Roberto Traven,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, so that's the lineage. I don't know before Professor Traven,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, that's who I'm under right now.
Okay. So basically, Team Octopus, Professor Diego Saraiva, Kuhn
Yes, Kun Lao.
Lao,
Yeah, he's helped me a
who's
ton.
from Team Octopus, and Roberto Travern
Yes,
out of Atlanta.
yes.
Okay. So the reason why I wanted to bring Elijah is because a lot of I see a lot of these Manosphere, whatever, all these podcasts, and you have these guys that have been training for like 2-3 months, and they're already promoting their art, which I have no problem with. But I wanted you guys to hear it from, like I said, from somebody that's really trained, that this is a life. This is a lifestyle for Elijah. Like, this is his life. This is what he wants to do. So what would be something, Elijah, that you could tell somebody that's just starting to like look at martial arts, why they should choose Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
Um, I don't know. I think jiu-jitsu is just like it's a lot of fun. It's you can go like super hard without hurting your teammates and your friends if you guys like if you're like pretty knowledgeable. Like you can go like super hard consistently without like breaking your body down too bad.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I'm gonna be biased, but I think it's just the coolest martial art. Just how you can use leverage and um, just certain positions to get a dominant position.
Yes.
It's very technical.
Yeah, so like I said, I listen to a lot of podcasts, just like All Americans. Elijah, he does too, and I often hear the debate whether gi or no gi. But I always think, if you're in a street fight, why not no gi when there's so many things that you can do in a street fight, so many places that you can grab somebody in a street fight. I've also had people say, almost downplaying jujitsu, that it would actually be bad for a confrontation because it's on the ground. And I mean, like I said, I have my opinions about it too. I mean, how would you deal with that, Elijah? Do you think that you would use jujitsu in a street fight?
Yeah, and the thing is, like people that say that no gi is better because it's better for a street fight, but I think they're both. You for a street fight, I think you just need basic jiu-jitsu, and you just need to take into account like you don't want to get slammed on your head. Like I think it just takes very basic jiu-jitsu to yeah get leverage and um yeah be more dominant usually.
Yeah. So, like I said, not to downplay any other martial arts. I mean, I think that boxers are super dangerous. Obviously, Elijah and I often have these discussions. Thai boxers are super dangerous. Wrestlers have, proven time and time and again that they can, compete at the highest levels. But what was my, what was my, my point to all of this is, I just want people to know that if you're planning on starting a martial arts, you should really, really think about using or doing Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. I can think of many, many times in my life where if I didn't have Jiu Jitsu, it like practically it saved my life. So, like I said, I'm pretty biased, but I've seen Elijah's progression and I've seen him beat guys that look like animals. I mean, just like and Elijah's he's a good sized guy. He's about 6 foot, 170 pounds. He's a decent sized guy, but I've seen him fight big, grown men, and this is when he was a blue belt. So, where are you now, Elijah? What are you doing right now as far as your progression with jiu-jitsu? What are you trying to do?
So right now it's kind of weird situation with the whole COVID pandemic, but uh it's kind of weird because it's hard to get like super motivated because like nothing's coming up. It's kind of like uncertain of what's gonna happen. I mean, I know this is gonna clear sometime soon, but initially I was getting ready for the Pan Ams in California. So both the Worlds and Pan Ams are like the biggest events of the year. Every year, it's only once. So those two events are super huge. So to have both those canceled, I was getting ready. And so now I'm just trying to think ahead. I need to try to get motivated. So to get motivated, I have to think of a goal. So I'm shooting for Europeans would be like a big one.
Mm-hmm.
So European starts every time in the new year. So I'd be thinking ahead of like 8 months for the Europeans in Portugal.
Yeah, guys. So just to not because I'm biased, because Elijah's my son, but he's basically he's the number one ranked. So basically, he's six. Are you 6 internationally?
Yes, ranked 6 internationally according to the IBJJF.
But no, you're the number 1 American.
Yes, maybe there's one more American ahead of me. I could be first or second, but I know, yeah, I'm definitely up there. So I'm not quite sure. I'd have to check.
Yeah. So guys, so this is just to, so you can kind of see the levels, because as many of you, many in the jiu-jitsu community know, there are levels to all this stuff. Okay, so the blue belt that's I don't know, Elijah's age, and the blue belt that, let's say, is my age, it's totally different levels. So just like with everything else, it's like, I see Elijah train, and I train too, but I don't train as much as Elijah, and he's light years ahead of me. But what about, we always speak about humility, Elijah? Why does jiu-jitsu, why does it strengthen humility? Why does it make you humble?
I think jiu-jitsu makes you humble because I don't know, you just get beat down. Like there's maybe times where you're like, man, like I'm too good, and then someone just beats you down. I think whatever, I think it just makes you see things from a different perspective. It just makes you better.
Yeah, because I can see how, when you're getting beat down all the time and you keep coming back and you keep coming back, that's got to build a different level of humility that I don't really think that most people can take too. I mean, do you get people that quit because they just can't handle being beaten? Do you see that a lot?
Probably. I can't recall right now, but yeah, I mean, it definitely makes you have respect for other people, and yeah, I don't know. I don't think a lot of people can take it. I think that's why they probably don't stick around.
Mm-hmm.
They can't handle. I guess the ego. The ego I think is definitely big for a lot of people. So I think you just have to try to put that aside if you want to grow, get better.
No, listen, I definitely see that when you see this big guy coming into a dojo and he's getting beaten by guys that are half his size, that are maybe whatever, they've been there 6 months. So it's quite a humbling experience, not to mention the fact that if you're getting submitted with all these technical, arm bars and chokes and whatever, all these submissions, I mean, they could be used, they're pretty lethal if used in the wrong hands. I mean, well, what do you think about that? Why are you guys so such friends? I see the closeness in the jiu-jitsu community. I think it's so different from any other martial arts. Why is that? Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah, I think just because we all are suffering together, you're basically trying to kill the person.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. What was the question again?
It was about that whole, Elijah, the whole thing that we always speak about, humility. And I've seen it on other podcasts too, where it's like, basically you're putting somebody into a potentially dangerous situation where you could hurt each other, and you just know just enough to where you tap and you're like, hey, listen, so basically what I'm trying to say is you're trusting somebody else to put you in a difficult situation, in a dangerous situation, because somebody could easily break your arm if they don't follow the tapping rules, right?
Yeah, jiu-jitsu is definitely super dangerous. But why does it make you humble? Was that the question?
So I mean, so my point is, so you obviously, I think that's why you have this. So I'm basically putting my take on it, Elijah. So I think sometimes in jiu-jitsu you have to have that humility, and you have to have that kind of the humility comes in the fact that somebody's putting you in a dangerous position, and you have to be able to trust that person that when they get you into that position, you're going to tap and he's going to let go. You have to trust each other, right? Don't you think? I think it builds that humility too.
Yeah, and I think that can be a problem in some academies. If you don't trust your partner, I mean, things can get carried away. Like you think that they're trying to hurt you, or but definitely I try to be smart with the guys that I roll with. So yeah.
Okay, so like I said, we're trying to push this out to people that are just doing this, trying to get into a martial arts. So you're the expert. So tell us, what are the things to look out if you are a starter and are looking for a jiu-jitsu academy? What do you need to look for?
What do you need to look for? What should you look? I don't know. Good environment. I think good environment is huge. Like if maybe you feel like the energy is bad, or the coach like allows like slamming or like heel hooks in the gi. I think those kind of things are probably not good. You don't want to be trading heel hooks, and it's just dangerous. You know, you should there should be rules.
All right, so listen. So here's an example. So remember when you and I started training at that place, and the students are not bowing, they're going to the bathroom and they're not washing their hands.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's
you know
bad.
What I'm saying?
Those are bad signs for sure.
So tell us. I mean, like we want to like think about that, like things that sometimes we talk about all the time. Is like, why is this happening here? And this is because so basically, so you guys know, Elijah goes to different parts of Atlanta to teach. He teaches in different schools. Some are good, and some are not so good. So maybe think small little details like that. I think a lot of times too in the way that people come off, because you know I've heard too that it can be very intimidating for somebody to go to an academy. You know, so we're trying to get more people into this beautiful sport. How do we do that without scaring people or intimidating people? Because at the end of the day, I think most schools are positive.
Yeah.
You know? There are some bad ones out there. I mean, I haven't been to many of them, but I mean, the ones that you go to are pretty good. Obviously, Traverse is the top-notch, Team Octopus, right?
Yeah. Yeah, both those gyms are like really clean. Everyone's really respectful. There's rules. Definitely like no shoes on the mat. I mean, yeah, there should be rules in order to have like a good environment. So,
okay. All right. So, what other things can we talk about jiu-jitsu? So, all right. So, listen, guys. So, for you guys that are listening to, there's a reason why basically the military has instituted. So basically what they have in the army is combatives, which is all based on the Gracie system, which is jiu-jitsu. Okay? So for all the new guys out there that are wanting to try this wonderful art that we call Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, tell me something about your professor that you're training with right now that you, let's say, maybe we can promote Professor Travern. What do you like about Professor Travern?
Professor Travern, he's just like he's an honest person. Mm-hmm. He's got good values, good morals, and he's like, what's the word? I don't know. Like he cares about his students. Like he wants them to learn. Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't expect everybody to be a world champion.
No, he doesn't.
Okay.
But yeah, he's been like an amazing mentor to me. Mm-hmm. And yeah, he's just a really good person, a really good role model for sure to look up to.
All right, so can you talk to us about your nutrition? Tell us about your nutrition and tell us if it's affected your training.
Oh man, so for sure. So I used to like eat like really bad. Like it doesn't matter. Like eating out, for example, like fried foods, just like pizza, burgers. Like I just used to eat that like consistently and expect to feel good. And I think doing that over time causes like inflammation. Your body just starts to get like tense. It's just going to start to fall apart. So right now I try to eat not so much. Like I'll eat eggs, vegetables, and I try not to cook them too much because my nutritionist told me like if you like overcook, you start to lose like the value in the vegetables.
And who's your nutritionist?
Flavia Travin. So Roberto Travin's wife.
So have you seen like a change in when you're actually competing in the way that your body reacts because of your diet or no?
Yeah, and definitely it's also because the supplements. I wasn't taking any vitamins, so basically I wasn't getting any of the nutrition I needed to get in order to perform and like grow. My professor would explain it to me like you're like a car, you know, it's like what you put in the car is gonna like it's gonna affect it, so it needs to have fuel in order to perform. So But definitely, yeah, the supplements, the BCAAs has helped me recover way faster.
Do you drink a lot of water?
Yeah, definitely. I'm trying to drink more water now.
Mhm.
I haven't been because I'm not really training as much,
Mhm.
but yeah, it's definitely a huge part. You have to stay hydrated, and yeah, definitely maintenance is big. If you just keep training,
Mhm.
and you train really hard and you don't try to do any maintenance, like your body's really gonna start to fall apart. So, because I've dealt with that personally. So
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely noticed that you've gotten bigger, but obviously you're doing a lot of weight training with all this COVID-19 stuff going on. So I've noticed that you've gotten a lot thicker.
yes, definitely.
You know,
Mhm.
so tell me what would you tell all white belts and blue belts? What do they need to do to get to your level?
So I think the important thing is to um, just try to study, learn. Take your time in learning. I think the beginning is the most fun to learn because there's not many high expectations. So just try to watch footage. Um, I don't watch a lot of breakdowns. I think the breakdowns are good, but
Mhm.
for me, I like to watch highlights. Um, of course, just training, going to train helps, but also I think watching footage has helped me a ton and just like understanding how to move and certain positions. Um, and yeah, just try to absorb as much information as you can and just see what works for your body type
Mhm.
or yeah, what works for you best.
What about drills? What would you tell people about as far as what do you do for drills?
Um, Drills is really it's up to the professor. I think some professors, like some black belts, they don't really like to do drills. Maybe they just think that oh yeah, so some schools this is how they do it. They'll warm up, like jog, bear crawl. They do all that. Some of them even do like sit ups or push ups to get the body warmed up, and they'll show one or two techniques, and then you guys will just roll. And I
Mhm.
think the best way that I think that's helped me learn is my professor has shown like fundamental drills to
Mhm.
do before class that everyone's doing because they're just good fundamentals and they change up every day or every other week. They kind of change up, but I think it's good to get those drills in. And then he shows us a technique, and then we roll for like an hour or yeah, I think we roll for an hour straight.
Mm.
But I think that's the best way of learning. It kind of gets the body to learn those fundamentals. If you especially if you're doing them consistently. So
Okay, what do you think about the Berimbolo?
the berimbolo it's an effective position.
Mhm.
I play the berimbolo a lot. It's just like uh, basically you grab like an ankle and the hip and you try to roll to take the
Mhm.
back. Um,
What about the high level guys? I've heard some of the high level guys downplay it. What do you think about it?
yeah, there's definitely a lot of especially like earlier generations like they're not acceptable about these new positions that are coming about. They're
Mhm.
like that's not real jiu-jitsu or it's not effective. But I think they're just kind of closed-minded. I think I'm open to the new game. I think there's so much more to be like developed and looked into with these new positions.
I mean, I think it's highly effective. I can't do Berimbolo, but I've seen Elijah do it. I've seen other people do it, and it looks pretty effective to me.
Yeah,
What about the worm guard? What do you think about that?
I mean it's a position just like everything else.
Mm-hmm.
um but the worm guard is it can be cool, but it can also like stall out positions. So I think it's definitely not a favorable position for me because I think it slows down the momentum of the jiu-jitsu. So basically the worm guard, the person on bottom starts to use the other person's lapel
Mm-hmm.
against them to keep their posture down. It
Yeah,
kind of like
yeah, it kills time
it
basically.
holds you down in like
Yeah, yeah,
a
yeah, yeah,
horizontal
yeah.
position. It slows down the jiu-jitsu because jiu-jitsu, you're trying to sweep,
Mm.
you're trying to pass, and these positions you're like locked in. So it kind of slows down
Mm-hmm.
the momentum of the match, I believe.
So
So
you definitely see it more as a stalling tactic. Would you
yeah,
say,
yeah,
Elijah?
definitely guys use it to stall, and I think it's boring,
Mm-hmm.
honestly. Yeah, 50-50 worm guard, they're boring positions, and yeah, I think they slow down the real jiu-jitsu. So
Yeah, so I usually try it out with white belts, but listen, I'm like just a blue belt, and I'm like old man jujitsu, so I'm constantly learning stuff from Elijah or just stuff I see on video. But it's always like like the high level guys, the famous guys that are out there putting their points on or making points on what they think about jujitsu. So that's why I thought it'd be a great idea for you guys to get to know Elijah Pizarro because he's an up and coming guy, and I think he's destined to be a world champion.
Yeah. So I haven't won anything too big yet, but I think I'm definitely I'm on the rise for something big.
Well, you're definitely looking for worlds. I mean, worlds was going to be not saying that you were going to win it, but I mean, you were. It's kind of upsetting. Well, I'm sure it's for Elijah to be disappointed. I'm super disappointed because Elijah had basically won 3 big tournaments in a row, and he was looking forward, and he'd been training for a long time for Worlds, so it was kind of disappointing. And Pan Am's, right, Elijah?
Yeah, Pan Am's and Worlds. I think every year I'm getting better, because sometimes I have to cut weight. I think the whole thing is a process. The whole thing's a process, like just competing, and especially if you have to travel, you have to kind of prepare, especially when you have to lose weight, like getting there on enough time, being able to stretch and just like feel good. So yeah, I'm learning every time. I'm getting better every time. So
Okay, so who are your heroes, Elijah? Who are the guys that you look up to right now?
the guys I look up to right now would have to be Leandro Lowe. He's he's given me a lot of motivation. I like his jiu-jitsu. The Meow brothers, both Paulo and Joao.
Yeah, those guys are savages.
Their style is just incredible. And they always go for the submission. Also, I like Nicholas Marigali, the guys up from Norway, Tommy Langaker and Espen Matisse, and those guys are insane.
Buchecha?
Yeah, Buchecha's insane too. I used to watch him a lot. Rodolfo Vieira. These are guys I usually always like to watch.
Okay.
Very entertaining. The Mendes brothers.
So this with this whole COVID-19 thing, I always think it's it's a little silly for these guys to not be able to train when a lot of these guys are super meticulous about who gets on the mat, especially the competitive guys, especially guys like Elijah that are watching for guys to like cut their nails and wash their hands.
Oh yeah,
don't
definitely.
Get dirt. So what do you think about this whole COVID-19 thing? I mean, obviously it's like, the jiu-jitsu world right now is dead. Like, when do you think it's all going to start back up?
Man, this whole thing came out of nowhere. I didn't expect it to get so serious. But from what I'm hearing, I think things are going to start back up in June. Hopefully that things are going to.
Jesus.
Are
we talking about the beginning of June or?
Yeah, beginning of June is what I'm hoping, because I guess the whole U.S. like they're supposed to follow these phases. So I don't know. It's kind of uncertain right now, which is like sad, for everyone that does jiu-jitsu, especially if you're a gym owner.
Yeah, so we're wondering, how many, or I wonder at least how many gyms are going to go out of business because of this. I'm a small business owner myself, and we've seen the restaurants they're going to be decimated by all this. And listen, not to get political, because really today's show is really just about jiu-jitsu. So what are you doing right now, Elijah? What are you doing right now to kill time? Are you training at all or no?
Yes, I'm training with a friend, just one of my friends that I'm usually with in Midtown. So, or whoever I can get to get some drills in or just some rolls in. I'm trying to do as much as I can. I have a stuffed grappling dummy, so I try to like work position. I do a lot of barambolos and stuff, and just I try to stay tight with my positions. I'm studying footage and really maintenance on my body. Stretching.
I know you're always talking about that, Elijah. Tell people about all, because Elijah's always stretching. I'm like, Jesus Christ,
man. Yeah. So
tell us about that.
So for the longest time, I've done a lot of sports, but I really never really cared too much for stretching and I think that's huge. Like you have to stretch, like, but basically I'm always stretching and wait, so let me go back. So I was doing a bunch of sports and I think over time the body just starts to get like super tense and you just start to fall apart. And I've noticed the more I start to stretch that I'm having less back pain. I think maybe my psoas was tight or my hamstrings were tight, but something was causing me to have like extreme back pain and really bad leg pain. I think for a long time, like I couldn't really explain it to anyone else. This could have been from playing soccer on like rocks or I don't know what it was, but I think maybe my hip flexor, something was causing my legs to be like super tense. And it was a huge problem for me because I wasn't able to like lift weights as well. I felt like my legs would just get like really tired quick. And I think it's just because all the muscles were like super tense. But stretching has definitely helped relieve that stress and that problem. So I'm happy I was able to find a solution.
So lots of stretching.
Yeah, lots of stretching. And guys, I've tried so many different things to help like recover my muscles, like knots. I feel like knots are prevalent. With all the pulling of the lapels and the collars, like your forearms get tight, your shoulders, all the pulling in the back of your shoulders. And playing guard especially, like my hips get tight. So if you guys were to get anything, I would recommend the SoRite. For sure is the greatest product I've ever used. I've done like the lacrosse ball, like leaning against the lacrosse ball, the foam roller, and also I have like a $600 Theragun. So
yeah. You use that a lot, huh?
I use it a good bit too, but I think the SoRite has helped me for sure the most. The SoRite is basically like a U-shaped piece of plastic. It's probably like $60 or $80, but it's really worth it because it's like rigid and you get to apply your own weight.
Yeah, but would you say to people out there that are thinking about getting that Theragun, would you advise them to get it, to invest the $600 and get it, or what?
Oh, I mean, there's cheaper ones. You don't have to get a $600 one. It's just the one, like some of them are super loud. Some of them have more like attachments.
So the Theragun isn't as loud. Is that one of the benefits to it? Because I've seen the other ones. The other ones just look like some kind of like thing you buy at the Home Depot or something.
Yeah. You can make some of those like, yeah, exactly. So you guys could look at home. Like you could actually make your own out of what is it, like a soldering gun or something?
No, it's not a soldering gun. It's
some kind of tool, but yeah, you could.
I have 3 of them things. I don't know what the hell they call them. It's kind of like a small little saw that goes up and down. You guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you guys could actually make one at home. I think it works good too. But for me, for sure, the SoRite has been
a lifesaver,
a game changer. Yeah, for sure. Because my hips were really hurting. My hip flexors were getting super tight. And so, yeah, it's helped me a ton for sure.
All right. So listen, I want us to go back to this thing about, and you told me this story several times when you went to a school and basically you just got choked out and you were thinking about giving up. Tell everybody that story because I want all the guys that are just starting. Yeah. Because you've had a similar story to where you thought about quitting jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, definitely that's crossed my mind. So before I was training at Team Octopus Chamley, like they just moved from a small location. So this is like their location now, but they used to be somewhere smaller. But anyway, so I used to train with those guys all the time and, I'd get beat. I would beat them as well. But so I started to get better. I started to beat mostly everyone up in that gym. And then Professor Kuhn, he's a black belt as well. He's one of the owners. He introduced me to Professor Travin. And he's like, hey, you should come do a class with me at Midtown and meet my professor. And I was like, okay. So I went to train up at Unit 2. That's where Professor Travin was teaching at the time. It was in Midtown. And I just remember, the amount of technique, the level of guys that were there. And it was really just crazy how tough and how technical those guys were. I mean, I got like smashed like really bad. I mean, I had some good rolls. I was a blue belt at the time. Yeah, I had some good rolls, but there were some guys I'm like, man, these guys are like incredible. And Travin was super tough. The warm up was really hard. It was basically like the hardest class I've ever had and the hardest rolls. And I just remember getting in my car and just being like, yeah, I don't know if I can go through with like continue to train, you know? So
this is a story, guys, for everybody out there, everybody out there that thinks that guys like Elijah and all these high level guys, that they have their own story, that they thought about quitting,
yeah, definitely.
but
I just kept coming.
just kept coming back.
Yeah,
man.
just kept coming
back. So because this is a show for men, sometimes we have to do what we don't want to do. It's harder. It's do what's harder. And a lot of times most guys will be like, no, I don't want to do what's hard. I want to do what's easy. Okay. But if you want to make goals and you're trying to set goals for yourself, you have to be willing to make that hard right instead of that easy wrong. So even guys like Elijah, that's a high level guy, at one point in his career, he thought about giving up. He thought, this is not for me, but he kept doing it. You see what I'm saying, guys? So the big reason why I decided to have Elijah here was because I hear all these podcasts where these guys have been doing, I don't know, Krav Maga or whatever else, and they're telling these young men to go do that, which I don't know anything about Krav Maga. I know about Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and I know about the benefits that it has and the effectiveness.
Yeah.
In a street fight, or whatever. I mean, do you often find yourself when going out like you feel like you need to be fighting with people or no?
No, but I think I'm naturally just like, maybe I just think different, but I think I'm naturally like a paranoid person. Like I always think like if I go out, I want to be able to feel confident and being able to defend myself. But I'm like always looking around. But I think I've always been interested in like fighting, like martial arts in general. So
yeah.
So yeah.
Well, we've spoken about that many times too. I mean, it's like you go out and you're walking the streets and you're with a girl or you're with your friends.
I mean, fights happen all the time.
Yeah.
Like I see them all the time.
And let's say somebody looks at Elijah and they start measuring him up and then they look at his ears. I mean, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to be like, I don't think I want to fight this guy.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm sure it's kind of a deterrent for other guys. I mean, people know.
I mean, have you seen guys sometimes like kind of measure you and they kind of start looking at your ears and are like, what the hell's going on with that?
Yeah, definitely. I've had comments, like I go out or like I'm at a bar, like people give me comments, but there's idiots all over the place. But I can't remember the last time I've had an altercation, honestly. And I definitely don't go looking for any fights, but they happen all the time. But I just never, I'm never involved.
So this, like I said, guys, for all you guys that are thinking about taking a martial arts school, going to martial arts, what to take, you're unsure, you're listening to all these podcasts, who's giving me the right advice, who's giving me the wrong advice. Guys, I'm telling you that if you guys are planning on taking, it doesn't matter how old you are either. I'm an old man. I'm 47 years old. I train. Okay, obviously not at the level that Elijah does, but I still train and I love it. I don't train as much as Elijah does, but I love it. It's good for you, It's a good workout, and like I said, if anything, you can go out there, you can go out and feel confident because listen, you see all these street fights. You think most guys know how to fight, Elijah?
No, definitely not. I think most guys it's like a lucky puncher's chance.
Mm-hmm.
But I think as far as like being able to try to grapple with somebody, like just some random person, if you guys are the same size, I mean, even a bigger person, but I'm just saying same size, if he knows nothing and you know a little bit, like just basic jiu-jitsu, like it's going to be so easy. It's ridiculous. So,
and I've seen it for myself, guys. I've seen it for myself. I've been to Elijah's class. I mean, he trains with some huge guys.
Yes.
I mean, they look like gorillas.
Yeah.
They look like gorillas. And Elijah's like I said, it's all technique, and he embarrasses people. It's amazing. It's amazing to see. I know the effectiveness, but do you often look at that, Elijah, when you're training and you're like, wow, this guy was huge and it was nothing? I mean, you're probably used to it by now, right?
Yeah, definitely. I've had a lot of experience with like just guys that are like super confident or super cocky, like just like really big guys. And once they roll with me, they're like super surprised that I'm able to like get on their back and choke them, or just being able to control them, not using so much muscle, but leverage. You know, I'm using leverage to get them tired, and just better positions. But yeah, also, so I've seen a lot of big guys, like they get super tired, and it's all about muscle for them. So I'm sure once you guys go to your first class, you'll realize like man, this is legit, you know. So
all right, guys. So listen. So Elijah. So if people want to get a hold of you, tell us where they can get a hold of you.
So guys, I post on Instagram probably the most at Pizarro JJ. So PZARRO JJ. So you guys can follow me on there. I try to post cool submissions from my matches whenever I go out and compete, and I try to show you guys some techniques and drills you guys can do on your own free time. So.
And guys, this is something that I'm going to do often. I mean, this is our first podcast together, but I'm going to have Elijah here more, and I'm going to get him to bring some of his friends, and I'm going to step aside and let them talk, because I want this something for anybody in the jiu-jitsu community, or anybody that thinking about doing jiu-jitsu to get in here and and be part of this. My mission in life, and the reason why I started this podcast, is because when I was a young man, I had no one. I had no one to tell me how to be a man. And the only person that I had as a father for me was the Army. And once I raising my son, try to give him the right values in life. And one of those things that you need to do to be a man and to be successful in life is to be able to defend yourself. Right? To not be looking for a fight, but be able to take care of yourself, and to be able to take care of the people that you love. That's so important, especially today. Right? So, like I said, this is not going to be the last time we have Elijah on here. Please follow him. And like I said, he's a legit guys. I mean, I've seen his progression throughout the years, and it's incredible. And I'm amazed at how good he's become. But when you love something, when you love to do something like Elijah loves jiu-jitsu, it's just amazing. It's a beautiful thing to say. What else could you before we leave, Elijah, what else would you like to tell everybody? Anything you want to say?
What do I like to say? Yeah, I think if anything, jiu-jitsu, I think it builds a lot of character. And I think a little bit of jiu-jitsu goes a long way. You know, even if you're not trying to compete, if you're not trying to take it to the highest level, I think it's good just for everyone just to get out, learn some basic jiu-jitsu, and I think it'll do you just great things in the long run, you know. So,
all right, guys, you heard it from the man himself, Elijah Youngblood Pizarro. Please check him out on Facebook, on Instagram. You're on TikTok too, right, Elijah?
Yeah, I'm on TikTok, Facebook. So yeah, guys, just try to follow me, Elijah Pizarro. So.
And we're in Georgia, guys. So if you guys wanna be taught by one of the best guys here in Georgia, Elijah does private classes too.
Yeah, guys, feel free to come check me out. I'm usually at Team Octopus Midtown. It's like Team Roberto Traven headquarters. So I'm usually there, or Chamblee. But yeah, guys, if you're ever in Georgia or Atlanta, like, please definitely come by. It's a great gym with a great environment. So
yeah, and definitely if you want to test your skills with Elijah, come down.
Yeah, please come roll.
He loves it. He loves to roll. So, all right, Elijah. Well, hey, man, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, of course.
And we'll definitely have Elijah again. And let's say, because this is the Manosphere and this is a podcast for men, we're going to end with one quote from, I believe it's Napoleon. So if you're going to take Vienna, take Vienna. That's it, folks. For the Old Breed podcast, for all you pipe hitters out there, for all you savages out there, have a magnificent day.
Thanks, guys. I'll see you.
Goodbye, guys. Ciao. Boom.
Fuck, I need a drink. I probably need a drink next time.
Listen, we'll do it again.
That was-
We'll do it again.
that
But we
was-
got
that was-
one done.
That was